Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Before I go any further, just a quick overview of what this is basically. I do this occasionally. It's usually, oh, for fuck's sake. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Before I go any further, just a quick rough overview of what this is, basically for sort of new members of the group, new subscribers on the. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Before I go any further, just a quick overview of exactly what this is. It's mainly for the benefit of people who are joining me for the first time, sort of new subscribers, new members of the group, that kind of thing. What it is, I do a weekly video. Well, I record it on a Sunday for uploading the following Saturday, and it is just, I start with comments on the previous week's video. I talk about little bits of movie info that I've picked up through the week on various sort of sites and in various magazines. Show off a lot of me sort of DVDs and Blu-ray collection. Talk about movies that I've watched, that kind of thing. There is a Facebook group, which there is a link in the YouTube bio. If you care to follow it, feel free to join the group. And if you have a YouTube channel yourself, feel free to post any sort of movie related content within the group. You'll see most of us are doing that already. A lot of the members are posting their own little videos on there of reviews and stuff like that, and articles and posts and all that sort of thing. So feel free to pop over. There's also a website, which I believe is www.retromoviezone.com, or I think it's .com or .co.uk, something like that. I'll try to put links to those in the bio at some point, and I'm also on Letterboxd as well, if you want to pop over and have a look at that. So that's basically all this is. If you join the group, you will obviously recognise a lot of people that I talk about. There are sort of 7 or 8 core members that post regularly, videos, posts, all that sort of thing, and I do tend to refer to them a lot. So if you want to know exactly who the hell it is I'm talking about, pop over to the Facebook group, hit the join group, and you'll be more than welcome. So right, that's that bit. Right, I'll start with very quickly, congratulations to Dave Oliver. I can't believe that I forgot to do this last week, Dave. Congratulations on getting, was it 700 subscribers on YouTube? Well done, mate, and very, very well deserved. Love your channel, adore your reviews. I'm going to be talking about a couple of them a little bit later on that I watched at work yesterday. So well done on that, mate, well deserved. Onwards and upwards to 1,000 maybe. Let's see how we go. And I'm also looking forward to your Halloween franchise reviews, which are coming hopefully in October, something like that. So really, really looking forward to seeing what you made of those. Right, let's. Oh, you put a trailer on for a movie called Thanksgiving. Holy crap, that looks brutal. Wow. It starts off, for those of you that haven't seen it, with a few very gentle scenes of what Thanksgiving is all about, to do with family, and the religion side of it, all that kind of thing. Some very, very gentle scenes, and all of a sudden it explodes into this orgy of violence for about the last 5 seconds, and it looks truly terrifying. So I'm really looking forward to having a go at that, and I'm certainly looking forward to hearing what you think of the movie when you've actually watched it, Dave. Next one, happy birthday, Chris. He's on holiday at the moment, bless him. I think he's in Kenya. He's in Africa somewhere, on safari. So, happy birthday for last week, mate. I hope you had a brilliant day, and I hope you're enjoying your holiday. Right, I'll start, as I said, with comments on last weekend's video. Steve Mack. I'm up in my quality, moving over to 4K. Got a new webcam for the live streams. Hopefully you'll see a better image on the main feature. So all with a 4K TV should benefit. Really looking forward to seeing what that looks like. I am sort of erring on the side of maybe getting another camcorder or webcam or whatever it is. I'd be curious to know what it is you use. I don't want to go too expensive. I think I've actually bought this up before, and I was advised to get something around the £300-400 mark, which is probably a little bit out of my price range as such. But I'll probably keep going with this crappy old phone until it literally packs up on me. But I'd be curious to know what it is you're using, Steve. I always try to remain objective about the Hood films. Yeah, I was talking about Kidulthood last week, and basically the fact that I'd never made it past the first 10 minutes of the first movie, because I found the bullying scenes just absolutely horrendous. Very, very upsetting, not very nice. So I never really made it past the first 10 minutes, and I have tried to watch it 2 or 3 times, and I never seem to get past that point. You'll be happy to know that I have now watched all 3 movies, and I'll be talking about them a little bit later on. Let's see, they're co-written and directed by Noel Clarke and aimed at teenagers. That's probably why I didn't get a lot of it. Sadly, they hold a mirror up to what it's like in inner city estates. I would really hate to think they are as bad as that, but I'm guessing they must be. The films were a training ground for young actors. The only unfortunate thing in the aftermath was Noel Clarke had allegations of misconduct, sexual harassment and bullying. Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, I absolutely loathed his character, absolutely loathed it. And sometimes I find it difficult to separate the character from the actor, if that makes any sense. So I heard that and I immediately thought, well, I'm hardly surprised at that. If he's anything like, his character, which obviously he isn't, then I can see why that happened. It was reported in The Guardian, which is a quite sort of reputable newspaper, so you would think they'd have got their facts right. It was unproven, and he is suing the newspaper. I mean, if it's all false, then good on him. Absolutely. He was also in Doctor Who and the latest series of Bulletproof. I did see some of the Doctor Who episodes he was in, and to be fair, he was quite good in them. I do remember hearing beforehand that he was going to be in it and thinking, oh God, no, do we have to? But it was actually quite good. Bulletproof I've never seen, so I can't really comment on that one. So thanks for that, Steve. Jason, where do we start? Another video that just seems to go too fast. Cheers, Jason, really appreciate that. No need to apologise, mate. If you want a week off, take a week off. Take 2 off. Not 3 though, 2 will be enough, okay? I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. I mean, if I can keep going sort of every week, I mean, it's basically, as I say, it's just me sitting here for an hour talking to you, or half an hour or whatever. So I'm fairly sure I can keep that going. I just hit a wall. It was either last week or the week before, I can't remember which it was. And I just wasn't up for it. I was just feeling really down, and it just wasn't happening. And it doesn't happen very often with me. I can normally sort of, I've got the words "it'll pass" going through my head, and it usually does. But that week it kind of got the better of me, so I'm hoping I won't need to do that. But it's good to know that you will understand if I do suddenly say, do you know what, I'm not going to do anything this weekend, I'm just going to watch movies and catch up with you all the week after. So I appreciate that. When you say, why do I bother? Well, seeing everybody watching Tony Time on their TVs or computers before 9 a.m. last week answers that question, and you're quite right. That is the reason I do it. I love scheduling the videos for 8 a.m. I love going on YouTube and also Facebook 2-3 hours later and seeing all your comments, obviously on the channel and on the group, which basically gives me stuff to talk about the following day for the following week's video. So yeah, I do get why I do it. But as anybody that does YouTube videos, Rick, Steve, I'm sure even you must get off days when you think, you know what, I just can't be arsed with this. We all get it. So you just have to bear with us when that happens. Oh, and your video wasn't 70 minutes of mediocre drivel at all. Thank you very much. And bollocks to polishing the videos up. This is why we love the videos, because they are just natural. As I've said before, it's just me. This is just how I am. I don't read from a script. I've got notes just here which are just sort of abbreviated. I've even started abbreviating some of the comments, just trimming them down a little bit and maybe putting odd words in. So if you listen to me or hear me reading something out and I say something and you think, hang on, I didn't say that, that's probably me changing the notes slightly, just to make them easier to read out. So yeah, that's just me. White Men Can't Jump was very good. Not seen it for years. Same as Boys in the Hood, that was quite good. Same as Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. Always been drawn to Spike Lee's movies. I don't know why. There was one that he did, I think it was called Summer of Sam, that I'm very, very interested in, to do with the Son of Sam murders in, I think it was New York in the 70s. Very, very intrigued by that one. But I know Spike Lee has done some amazing stuff. I just haven't seen any of it. And I've been kind of put off by the sort of the White Men Can't Jump, that kind of thing. So yeah, but I will be taking the Summer of Sam in at some point. It's white guys talking like they are big gangsters with all the chains around their neck, talking some different language. You don't have to tell me. I mean, I'll come on to this when I start talking about the Hood trilogy. The language is just, it's a complete mystery to me. It may as well be Japanese for what sense most of it made to me. Let's see, and finally Barbie. Oh my God. Yeah, you didn't like this, did you? I don't think I've ever seen a movie worse than this, and I've seen some shit ones. There have been other bad movies, but I mostly just didn't enjoy them. But I really couldn't name a worse one than Barbie until now. Oh, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. All I know is the odd clips that I've seen, and the bits of the trailer. And the only reason I want to see it is because I want to see what all the fuss is about, because I know that pretty universally it's been accepted as a brilliant movie. But I also get the feeling it's going to be a bit of a Marmite film. You're either going to love it or hate it, but I will take it in. But honestly, I'm making a mental note of all these comments. Let's see. Even though I only saw about 40 minutes of it altogether, it goes down as the worst movie I have ever seen. I think it's an insult that this has been made. Not even the kids wanted it on again. They got bored and played with their toys, but still glanced up now and then, so couldn't turn it off. So basically, you were absolutely trapped into watching it. They might as well have strapped you to a chair and wedged your eyes open in front of it. So yeah, obviously I get that you didn't like it. Absolutely not. And you put, Tony, if you buy this on 4K, I think you need help. I must admit, after reading these comments, I'm erring on the side of doing what you do suggest, which is it's on the dodgy stick, watch half hour of it and then thank me for saving you money. I think that's probably what I am going to do with Barbie. I'm still going to get the 4K of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Oppenheimer, and a couple of others that I'm looking forward to. Barbie, possibly not. I don't know. I may even wait for it to come on Sky or Prime or whatever. It's bound to hit it sooner at some point soon. P.S. I'd rather watch 3 hours of Avatar than Barbie. Avatar is shit, but it's because it's not my thing. Barbie is shit because it's insulting to movie watchers. I fucking hate it. Yeah, I'm getting that. I'm getting that vibe from you. You didn't like it at all, did you? You absolutely will never watch it again. I'm fairly sure of that. You better just hope that one of you grandkids has not said, I really enjoyed it, Grandad. Can I watch it again? Then I really will feel sorry for you. Mark, I agree with Jason. Save yourself the money and watch it on the stick. Like Jason, I only watched maybe 30 minutes of it total, but that was enough to know that it was bollocks. Within the group, I've yet to find anybody that has enjoyed it. Yeah, I get this. Make sure pizza night, pizza and a movie night is always a movie that you haven't seen. That way it gives you at least one movie to talk about whether you enjoyed it or not. I am trying to do that. Rather than watching classics that I've seen before, I'm trying to hit at least one movie on a Saturday that I haven't seen before. And I managed it with the Hood trilogy. I actually watched 3 over the course of a Saturday and a Sunday. So it is working. So yeah, I get that, mate. Yeah, I love Black Hood movies. It's what I watched a lot of when I was in my early teens, as I was a rap music fan back then, and still am to a certain degree. Only the old stuff, none of the new stuff. Oh, it just does nothing for me. It really does. It hasn't done since the very first one I ever heard, which I think was the Sugar Hill Gang. I can't remember what it was called, but I do remember hearing what was classed as possibly the first ever rap song, and thinking, "What the fuck is this? What?" Uh, yeah, so it's not my kind of thing. As I think it's a generational thing, mate. I'm fairly sure of that. The Friday movies are some of my favourites. Boys in the Hood is a classic. Menace to Society, Training Day. There's Boys in the Hood again. That's coming up a lot. That one. Menace to Society, I've heard of. Training Day. That's Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke, isn't it? That's quite controversial. That one. That's one I actually wouldn't mind seeing. New Jack City. Wesley Snipes, Straight Outta Compton. I get the feeling I'm going to be fishing that out of the charity shop pile. I think I was showing it off the other week, saying that I'm probably never going to watch it. But while I'm on a roll with these Hood movies, and I've actually got one in the collection, I might as well take a look at it. Notorious. Is that the murder of a black rapper? I can't remember his name. Is it Biggie Smalls or something? I don't know. King of New York. The only King of New York I know is the Christopher Walken movie. I believe that was called King of New York. Is it the same one? I don't know. Are all brilliant, but not everybody's cup of tea. A line from Boys in the Hood referring to where are we? A line from Boys in the Hood referring to Tony. You have more magazines than a motherfucker. What does that even mean? This is what I mean. It may as well be in Japanese for what sense it makes. Great video as always. You never fail. Cheers, Mark. I do appreciate that. Going back to Barbie very quickly. Dave Lowe. We were talking about this. Was it last week or the week before? And you were saying that you weren't even sure what its target audience was. Who exactly was it aimed at? I mean, from what I've heard, it can't be aimed at young girls because some of the jokes are, or some of the lines are fairly adult in nature. So it's obviously not aimed at a sort of a younger market, and it's obviously not aimed at who is it aimed at? I don't know. It's certainly not aimed at Jason and Mark, that's for sure. And I'm not sure it's going to be aimed at me by the time I get the chance to watch it, but we'll see. But I almost will be getting it on Dodgy Stick or holding on till it turns up on Prime or Netflix or whatever the hell ever. And then I'll have a watch of it. I think from what you guys have said, I'm not going to be bothering with the 4K of that one. But who the hell knows? We shall see. Chris, thanks for the vid, Tony. Glad to have you back. You were missed, but always worth the wait. Appreciate that, mate. Enjoy watching this while suffering slightly from African belly. Oh dear. Yeah, it does tend to happen a lot in these foreign countries, doesn't it? Let's see. Harry Manfredini, great composer. One of my favourites of his is House, 1985. I haven't seen that one for years. I think I saw that on VHS the last time. Long time. Isn't it directed by Sean Cunningham, Mr. Friday the 13th, which is hardly surprising then that he got Harry Manfredini on board for the soundtrack. House is one that I've meant to watch for a long time. I don't remember being overly impressed with it the first time I watched it. I don't think it was what I thought it was going to be, but I would definitely be willing to give it another go. Let's see, where else are we? A great movie made better by his score. Yeah. I definitely think you should try to find time to watch movies that you haven't seen. Yeah, I think we all agree on this. I do need to watch or find time to watch more movies, whether they're ones I've seen or not seen. It's hardly right me sitting here just talking about movies that I've not seen. So yeah, I will be making more of an effort with that. And it is all slowly coming together. So bear with me, guys. Let's see. I'd say more of your reviews can only be a great thing, although I always end up spending money as you sell the movies so well. I appreciate that. I mean, once I've actually seen them, I'll be able to sell them even better. I don't think I'll be doing a very good job of selling the Hood trilogy somehow, but you never know. Where are we? Cracking movies. Oh, Boys in the Hood again. Boys in the Hood. I need to get hold of this one. This is the one that everybody seems to sort of gravitate towards. So, yeah, I'll try and grab a copy of Boys in the Hood and have a look while I'm on a roll with these Hood movies. Cracking movie, seen it many times and never get tired of it. This and Menace to Society are hard hitting but highly recommended. Maybe I need to do a season of these. I don't know. I was pretty much scarred by the last three that I watched, but I will definitely have a look at Boys in the Hood, seeing as that's the one that keeps coming up. I bloody love Pumpkinhead. Brilliant movie. Absolutely adore it. Seen it many times. I haven't seen it for a while. Definitely due for a rewatch of that. Watched it many times as a kid. Bloody hell. And it freaked me out every time. It would do. Rewatched last year, and I think I'll add it to my horror movie list for October. I think I shall do another horror-a-thon with little videos for the group. I really look forward to that. I enjoyed the last one immensely, that last season that you did last October. Pumpkinhead, the part that got me more than anything was the where he went to visit the witch in the middle of the woods. That was as creepy as hell. But the whole concept of it was just amazing. I do need to give it another go. I might search out a Blu-ray actually. I recently watched A Trip to the Moon. This is a silent movie that I showed off. I actually got it on Blu-ray a few weeks back. Directed by, is it Charles Lumiere? One of the very early films, I think it was 1895, was it 1903? It was a really over movie. It's well over 100 years old, but a hell of a film. I mean, you look at it and obviously it's not sort of the standard of movies that you get sort of today or anything like that. Obviously it isn't. The thing is over 100 years old. But when you look at what they had to go through to get that onto the screen, and he made hundreds of them. He made no end of these movies that were, a lot of them were really good. Then you get to appreciate exactly what it is. But it's a cracking movie. It was incredible to see how they brought colour to it. I've not watched the extras yet, but I'm going to. A great little watch. I may see if I can get an audiobook of Michael Winner. I did actually look for an audiobook version of his autobiography, and I couldn't find one, but you may be luckier than me, because you tend to be able to find things like this, so good luck with that one. I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. I watched the original Death Wish again last night. It was on ITV4. As far as I can tell, it was pretty much uncut as well. It's still a powerful movie, a really powerful movie, and it has given me a taste to want to see 2, 3, 4 and 5. I do remember Death Wish 2 being especially grim. Especially the scene with the suicide of the daughter, really nasty on the railings, awful. But I actually wouldn't mind watching them all. I think I've only ever seen the first two. I've not seen any of the others, so yeah, that's a season that I wouldn't mind watching. But the original, still as powerful as it was in 1974, still pushing buttons, I'm sure. Let's see, great purchases. I too have made a couple of pre-orders which I'll share when they come through. Look forward to that. Travelling to Queen Elizabeth National Park in the morning, so we'll hopefully get to enjoy another vid after the safari. Yeah, this will be uploaded Saturday morning at 8 if it all goes well. So you put, have a great weekend. Cheers, Chris. I'm definitely interested in that Monster Squad 4K disc, by the way, if it is not region locked. Now I know the 4K isn't region locked, but if all the special features, and they usually do quite a lot of them, are on the Blu-ray, then I'm not going to be able to play them. I've been bitten by this a few times, as I've already said, but it looks a cracking film. I know, Jason, you weren't keen on it. I'd have thought that would have been right up your street. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was alright, so I definitely would be up for watching that on 4K if, as I say, it's not region locked. Right, I put a post on last week. What was the first movie that you saw in the cinema? Now everybody knows mine. It was Le Mans, starring Steve McQueen. And for those of you that don't know the story, and for those of you that do, talk among yourselves for a few seconds. Basically, my dad was a huge motorsport fan. He knew about this film coming out. It came to Burton Odeon. He wanted to go and see it. My mum didn't want to go. He said he was going to go, and my mum said, "Well, take Tony with you." And he won't like it. Oh, he might. So, my dad got lumbered with me for the afternoon. He took me to see Le Mans, starring Steve McQueen, at Burton Odeon. There'd have only been one screen back then. This would have been about 1971, 72, so I'd have only been about 9 years old. And it absolutely blew me away. I'd never seen anything like it. And that is the movie that started my affair with cinema, basically. So yeah, that was my first. Let's see who we got here. Guy, you put can't remember. Surely you can name one that you saw early on. It doesn't have to be your first one. Just one that you saw very early on. Darren Nichols. Don't remember. Probably The Lone Ranger or similar. The Lone Ranger. Would that be the serial? I can't remember any films being made about the Lone Ranger, but there probably was. Gene. My first film in the cinema was Star Wars Episode 6. It scared the shit out of me. Jabba the Hutt was terrifying for an 8-year-old. I can imagine. I can well imagine. I do remember going to see all of the Star Wars movies at Burton Odeon. They were an event. Every time one came out, they were really events. So yes, I do remember going to see Return of the Jedi and loving it. Mark, I genuinely don't know what the first movie I saw was, but my earliest memory of cinema was with my cousin, and we watched Cutthroat Island. I've heard of this. Is this Gina Davis? Is it some kind of a musical swashbuckling type thing? I've definitely heard of it, but I've certainly never seen it. Let's see. Steve Mack, it was The Jungle Book, 1967. I remember my mum taking me to see that, and loving the songs, Bare Necessities, all that kind of thing. What was the elephant one? I can't remember, but I do remember loving the soundtrack to that. Scott, it was Monsters vs Aliens in 2009. I think I've seen bits of that. It occasionally screens on one of the ITV channels, and I'm sure I've seen sort of 5-10 minutes of it. Jason P. Sylvester Stallone's Over the Top in 1987, but I'm positive my dad took me to see a grizzly bear movie in the late 70s, early 80s. I'm willing to bet that movie was actually called Grizzly, released in 1976, classic animal attack movie. I don't remember one that came after. There was Day of the Animals, but that again was 1977. It did have a grizzly bear sequence in it, but I don't think it was based entirely around a grizzly. But I'm willing to bet it was that one from 76. Chris, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, obviously not the original 1938 release, because you'd have been way too young for that. You wouldn't have been born by about 50 years, I should think. I do remember going to see Snow White and being particularly alarmed by the Wicked Witch. Yeah, I wasn't overly keen on that one. So, Caroline, you put a horror movie challenge on. I think it was a list of something like 50 movies. Everybody jumped on that one. I'd seen quite a few of those. Now, I know you're not a big fan of horror, so you probably got about 4, I don't know. But a lot of people were scoring into the 30s and 40s with this one. That was a cracking list. Really, really enjoyed that. So, right, I'm coming up to 30 minutes, so I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be back with you in just a few seconds. And we're back. Dave Oliver, enjoyed your 3 reviews this week. One may have been from the week before, actually. The Equalizer 3. I haven't seen any of these. I do remember the TV series. Didn't watch it before you jump in, Guy. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't remember it. I do remember Edward Woodward was in it, and he did a pretty good job. I'm guessing that he was a kind of a Charles Bronson Death Wish type character. But I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But your review of The Equalizer 3, it sounds an excellent movie. All 3 of them sound really, really good. I'm just not sure that I would make it through them. They are apparently excessively brutal, so I don't know. I've seen a short excerpt of, I think it was the second one. And there was a fight scene in that, and there was a lot of fingers in ears and hands over faces and stuff like that from me. So I don't know. maybe, but it does sound appealing. Denzel Washington is absolutely superb. I love him as an actor. I thought he was brilliant as Steve Biko in Cry Freedom, which I bought on Blu-ray a few months back and I haven't had a chance to watch yet. There's another one of his that I heard reviewed a short while ago, a sort of a time travel type thing, and I can't remember what it was called. I should have made a note. But Denzel Washington is pretty much absolutely superb in everything he does. So storyline wise, I would probably enjoy The Equalizer 1, 2 and 3. Brutality wise, probably not. So I probably will be avoiding those. Talk to Me. Now then, this is one I've been looking forward to for ages. This is the debut feature from two YouTube short guys who've been doing YouTube shorts for years. So yeah, I am kind of looking forward to it. I did go on to, here we go again, the Parents Guide on the IMDb just to have a look at what I was letting myself in for. I've heard a lot about the really, really nasty opening scene in that. And I read roughly what happens. My God. I'm not going to say it because if you've not seen it, it'll spoil it. But I'm fairly sure that I would have to either turn the sound down or do this for that first scene. But it sounds an excellent movie, and it is one that I will take in, but I'm very well aware of what it is I'm going to be getting into with that. Now, Cobweb is a different matter altogether. That sounds really intriguing to me. The only question I would have is, does the ending actually make sense? You don't have to give anything away. Just tell me whether the ending actually makes sense. As ridiculous as you said it was. But I definitely like the sound of that one, thanks to your review. So, yeah, just let me know about the ending on that one, Dave. The Exorcist. Jason, I think you put a post on this week to do with the 50th anniversary deluxe edition 4K, which I have to say looks amazing. Now, I wasn't going to bother with it because I've already got it on Blu-ray, and I can't really see the quality being that much better. What swung it for me is the fact that in this deluxe edition you get a copy of Mark Kermode's book, his assessment of The Exorcist. Now that book is going for stupid prices on Amazon, sort of 30, 40, 50 pounds. I'm guessing it's out of print, so I may just invest in a copy of this 4K purely to get a hold of that book. I mean, if I'm going to be paying £70, I might as well have a copy of that as well. But that kind of swung it for me. So there's a very good chance I will be getting the deluxe edition, providing it's not sort of limited and they run out of copies. But yeah, there's a very good chance I will be getting a hold of that one just for that book. Chris, you posed two questions over the last couple of weeks, and I've not answered either of them, but I'm going to do it now. My favourite animal movie. This was a tough one because there are so many. Obviously, I would say movies like Grizzly, Day of the Animals, sort of Jaws, that kind of thing. But if you're looking sort of family-friendly animal movies, I would have to say the movie adaptation of the TV series Flipper, which I used to love as a kid. Absolutely loved Flipper. I just thought it was amazing. And they did, I believe, 2 movies based on that TV series. Not the 1990s version with Elijah Wood. Not on about that one. I'm on about the ones that sort of use the original cast. And I think they were brought out to capitalise on the success of the TV series. Apart from that, I would say Skippy. They did do, again, I think it was 2 movie versions of that. I used to love Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. This would have been late 60s, early 70s. If you've not seen it, I would highly recommend you take a look because it's as funny as hell. It's not meant to be, but it is. Obviously, it's an Australian series. I believe Lisa Goddard started out in that one. But a really, really good series, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of those things that I used to watch after school for years, and they did do a movie version of that, which I saw a long, long time ago and really, really enjoyed. So I would have to say either Flipper or Skippy, the Bush Kangaroo. So, and the other question was, which actor do I think was miscast in a movie, and which character would have been better being played by someone else? I had to think really hard about this, and then while watching Adulthood, I thought, yeah, that's the one. I would have to go for Ben Drew in The Sweeney as George Carter. I just thought he was completely wrong for it. I mean, I loved The Sweeney. I thought Dennis Waterman was perfect as George Carter. I couldn't imagine anybody else playing him. Unlike the character of Jack Regan, again, John Thorpe, brilliant, but when they announced that Ray Winstone was going to be playing him, I thought that is going to be amazing, because I couldn't think of anybody better to take over from John Thorpe than Ray Winstone. Then I heard that Ben Drew, or Ben Plan B Drew, or whatever the hell he's called, was going to be playing George Carter, and I thought, oh, I'm not sure about that one. And I watched it, and it absolutely did not work for me. I don't know why it just didn't. Who could have played it instead of him? I honestly don't know. I've been going through lists of sort of young British actors, and most of them would have been slightly too young. I did have one in mind. I can't remember what it was now. I should have made a note again. But there was one I had in mind. Then I suddenly realised it had only been about 17 when The Sweeney was made. But that would be my answer to that one. If anybody was ever miscast in a movie, I would say Ben Drew in The Sweeney. And I do need to take another look at that film at some point. I've got it on Blu-ray, and I need to take another look, because I didn't enjoy it very much the first time round. Maybe I got the original TV series in my mind at the time, but it just didn't work. So I'm going to take another look and see whether I can appreciate it a little bit better this time round, not going into it thinking of John Thorpe and Dennis Waterman. Hopefully it'll work better with that. But that's my answer to that one. Ben Drew as George Carter. So, right, Scarred for Life. A new podcast to recommend to you. I think I mentioned this last week. I listened to the first episode this week of the new Scarred for Life podcast. Now, it's based on two books. I'll just put this down. It's based on these two books. You've got this one. Now, these are huge. Look at the size of that. Huge volumes. Now, that is Scarred for Life, Volume 1, the 1970s. And you've also got Volume 2, the 1980s. And these are basically books that detail, I mean, just look at that. There's all sorts in there. They detail TV programs and movies, probably music as well, that scarred us during the sort of 70s and 80s. The 70s and 80s were decades where basically anything goes. You only had to look at some of the public information films that were around in the 1970s. It's no wonder we were scared to death of them. The one that I remember most of all is Donald Pleasant's The Spirit of Dark and Lonely Water. If you've never seen that, take a look on YouTube. Creepy as hell. So you can imagine how that would have been in run about sort of mid-70s. But some of those public information films were absolutely horrifying. Look up one called Apaches, about a group of kids playing on an abandoned farm. They were basically detailing the dangers of life in the 1970s, and that was one of them. There was also one called The Finishing Line, which was absolutely horrifying. And that is what this podcast is. It basically invites 2 or 3 guests on every week, and they pick out 2 or 3 TV programs, bits of music, opening intros, movies or whatever that scarred them for life during the 70s and 80s, and it is a fascinating listen. You can get it on Spotify. I've got it on Google. I'm already looking forward to next week's. Just to give you an idea of the sort of stuff that they talk about, somebody put, they were asked about what scarred them for life, obviously, and one of them said Skippy. Back to Skippy again. Now, I don't know whether you realise this, but Mark McManus, who played Taggart, was actually in an early episode of Skippy, and he tells a story of Skippy being the only actor he'd ever known that had to be brought onto set in a cloth sack. Wasn't a very friendly kangaroo, apparently. And the other one he mentioned, let me see here, there are a lot of scenes in Skippy where you see Skippy doing things with his paws. Now, obviously they couldn't get the actual kangaroo to do that, so what they used was, get this, novelty back scratches made from the paws of dead kangaroos. And that's when you see, if you see scenes of Skippy doing something with his paws, they are actually novelty back scratches made from dead kangaroos. So they're the two that I basically remember. They also brought up the subject of a TV series called The Mad Death from the early 80s, about a rabies outbreak in Britain. I remember seeing it, and it was horrifying stuff. It's out at the moment, I think, on Simply Media DVD, and I'm very, very tempted to grab a copy before it disappears forever. I can't imagine anybody else releasing it, but I think it's about £21, but I get the feeling it's going to be worth another look. But they brought that up as something quite terrifying from the 80s, so definitely recommend it. Google Podcasts have got it, Spotify's got it, I think most major sort of podcast platforms have got it, and that's called Scarred for Life. As I say, it's based on these two absolutely massive volumes. I wouldn't be without these are excellent books. Now then, let's see, a couple of quick reviews for you. I watched last Saturday night the David Bowie documentary Moon Age Daydream. Now, I've seen Bowie documentaries before that have been very entertaining. I think 5 Years was one of them that was absolutely brilliant. This one was good, don't get me wrong. The music in it was superb, as it would be with Bowie. My only criticism of it, and it's not really a criticism because I know some people really enjoyed the style of it. To me, it looked like it had been made by an art student. It was a lot of sort of excerpts cobbled together with a background of music and little snippets of interviews. It reminded me an awful lot of the Sparks Brothers documentary, the Edgar Wright movie-length documentary from a couple of years back. It had the same sort of style, a lot of sort of weird psychedelic visuals. Really, really enjoyed it, but it was hard going. I think it's about 2.25 hours long. I mean, if you've got 2.25 hours to spare and there's absolutely nothing on, I think it's on Netflix until I think the 3rd of October, something like that. It's definitely worth a look. I'm not sure I'd watch it again. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a straight up documentary, but it wasn't. But it's definitely worth a look if you get the chance. Now, the Hood trilogy. For those of you that don't know, it basically details the lives of a group of, I would only class them as feral teenagers in London, inner city, that kind of thing. There are three. There's kidulthood, adulthood, and brotherhood. I was determined I was never ever going to watch these, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the plunge and watch the first one, which I did. And as I've said before, previous times I've watched them, I've never got past the first 10 minutes. The first scene is basically a young girl being bullied to the point where she hangs herself at home. It's absolutely horrifying. These teenagers basically live for drugs, sex, booze. It's just, what got me more than anything about it, and I was the language. I needed subtitles basically, and I really, really did need them. I even hit the subtitles button on the TV, and all it was doing was basically showing me exactly what they said, and I suddenly realised it's not subtitles I need, it's a translator. The language, and Jason, you'll know this because it annoys the hell out of you as well. I literally couldn't understand half of what was being said. I got the general gist of it, but just listening to them, I thought, do they choose to talk like this, or what? You know, which province of Jamaica are you actually from? And then all the white lads are doing it as well, and it's like, what? Seriously, why? Um, it's. I will say this: it's very well made. It is very well made. It is beautifully acted. I would hate to think that any of these kids were anything like the characters that they were playing. That would be extremely sad. But yeah, really, really well made. Got me wound up as I thought it would do. Um, but it got me interested enough to go on to the next instalment, which was adulthood. Now, this picks up the story 6 years later. I mean, I won't go into spoilers, but I've kind of got to in a way. At the end of Kidulthood, one of the kids gets murdered by another one, who was played by Noel Clarke, called Sam. Sam gets out of jail 6 years later. This is in the sequel, and basically he comes back to a community that just want him dead. Particularly the uncle of the youth that he murdered. A really, really good sequel. I'm not going to complain about it, but again, I got this thing with the language. And Noel Clarke, or his character, actually summed it up perfectly when he said, somebody actually started speaking to him in sort of gangster speak, and he said, "I don't talk like that anymore." And that basically told me exactly what I needed to know, that this is a choice. They choose to talk like this, and I just don't get it. I have never, ever understood it. So yeah, really, really good. And Brotherhood was basically picking the story up 10 years later after that. Sam is now an adult, married with 2 children, and gets dragged back into this horrendous life of gangster stuff. They are all pretty much the same. I mean, if you've seen one, you've pretty much seen them all. But I will say that they are extremely well made and well done. Would I watch them again? I don't think so. I very much doubt it. I'm glad I didn't buy them. I think the first 2 are screening on Prime, and I got hold of the third one, Brotherhood, on the dodgy stick. But I would say they're definitely worth watching. They've basically got me kind of interested in seeing some of the American versions of it. But if you're looking for gritty British drama, I mean really nasty stuff, you could do a lot worse than watch this trilogy back to back. I never in a million years thought that I would ever watch them, let alone all 3 of them. But I have, so there you go, Mark. You can be proud of me for that one. I've actually made it through the 3 of them. Like I say, would I watch them again? Probably not, but we shall see. The other one that I watched this yesterday. Absolutely anything. This was basically on Rob Gear's top 10 list that I did some weeks ago, and I thought, I've never heard of it, so I'll grab a copy of that. I think it was only going for like a couple of quid, and I watched it yesterday. You've got some stars in this. You've got Simon Pegg, Kate Beckinsale, Eddie Izzard, Joanna Lumley, and Robin Williams as the voice of the dog, and also the Monty Python team. If I remember correctly, what it is basically concerning is a group of aliens up above Earth have to decide whether Earth can join the Galactic Federation or be destroyed. And the only way they can do that is by putting one human through a series of tests. They give one human the ultimate power to do absolutely anything with a wave of his hand. And the person that they give this to is Simon Pegg. Now, if you've seen any Simon Pegg film, and I'm a fan, I enjoyed Shaun of the Dead, I enjoyed the whole Cornetto trilogy, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, really enjoyed it. I watched Run, Fat Boy Run, that was good. I will say that if you've seen any Simon Pegg movie, you've probably seen this. He's just a very, very likeable character. and he plays the same sort of character pretty much in most of his films. I've not seen him in any of the Mission Impossible movies yet. I will be taking a look at those at some point, as that's a franchise I've been dying to get into for ages. But if you're looking for good-natured, sort of light-hearted entertainment with a few risque jokes in there, you could do a lot worse than this. I think it's been done before in movies like, I think, Oh God, with George Burns and John Denver in 1977. And I think, wasn't there a Jim Carrey movie where he was given the power to do absolutely anything? So this is a very, very, very sort of similar thing. The aliens up in space are voiced by the Monty Python team, which was absolutely brilliant. There are a lot of really funny scenes in this. The standout for me is obviously the dog, voiced by Robin Williams, but there's some really funny bits in this. Would I watch it again? Probably not. If this was a bin it or keep it, it would be a bin it. Not because I didn't enjoy it, but because I've seen it now, so I don't really want to watch it again. So, but yeah, if you're looking for, as I say, light-hearted sort of funny stuff, you could do a lot worse than that one. It's called Absolutely Anything, so that's definitely worth a look. Shows I grew up with. I missed this last week, and Guy, you picked me up on it, but let's do this one. Thunderbirds, Blu-ray set. You were on about this the other week, Guy. My God, you were angry. I think you read that Talking Pictures TV were going to be screening Thunderbirds from the start, and then you find out that Sky Glass doesn't do Talking Pictures TV. But then, a couple of weeks later, you found out that ITVX have taken Thunderbirds off its paid platform and stuck it onto free along with Space Precinct. So you will get to see it now. This is a brilliant series. You know this guy, everybody knows this. Jerry Anderson's flagship show. I'm glad I didn't say that wrong. Jerry Anderson's flagship show. This was easily his best. He did a lot of others. He did Stingray, he did Captain Scarlet, The Secret Service, UFO, Space 1999. To me, Thunderbirds is the height of his career. Absolutely brilliant. TV episodes that looked like feature films. The special effects were amazing. Obviously, it's all puppets, but they looked brilliant, and they still look brilliant. This was regular viewing. I've seen these so many times, all of them. I watched them hundreds of times on TV as a kid. Whenever it was on, I always used to watch it. This was one of my favourite ever TV shows. So, yeah, Thunderbirds, that's the show I grew up with for this week. Now, what have I been buying? Don't know much about this one. I've not seen it. All I know is it's about the gay activist Harvey Milk, played by Sean Penn. I believe he won awards for this. Saw it on Amazon for about £1.50, so I thought I'll grab a copy of that because I haven't seen it before, so I'll take that in. This one was recommended to me by somebody at work, Pain and Gain. Now, I know nothing about it. He did give me a brief sort of idea of what it was about. He did tell me that it was about, well, he opened up with the sentences about bodybuilders, and straight off I thought, oh God, no, this is not going to be my sort of thing. And then he mentioned Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne Johnson. I thought, yeah, okay, that's raised it a bit. And then he gave me a rough idea of the story. I read a full synopsis of it on Amazon. It was on there for about £2, so I thought I'm going to grab a copy of that and have a look. So I'm going to have a look at this hopefully sometime over the next week. So I'll be talking about this one hopefully the week after next. So that's one of them. Books, my God, I've done really well this week. I spotted these by accident on Amazon and got them all on day of release. First one, 1971, 100 films from cinema's greatest year. Apart from 1977, when Close Encounters, Saturday Night Fever were all released, I would have to say 1971 is definitely my favourite year. As you can see by the cover, you've got Malcolm McDowell in Clockwork Orange. Ken Russell's The Devils was released in 71. Straw Dogs, Dustin Hoffman and Susan George, that was released in 1971. There were a whole host of movies released in this year. It was a brilliant year for films. I can't wait to have a read of that. And another one came out the same day, Shocking Cinema of the 70s. Again, all to do with the exploitation side of sort of cinema, American, British, wherever. I've not really had a flick through it properly yet, but it looks, I'm not going to flick through it because I'm crap at doing it. But yeah, that's another one that as soon as I saw that, I thought, I've got to have that. I don't care how much it is, I'm having that. And this also came out on the same day. Cinema of the 70s. It's one of those coffee table style books. I'll just try and give it a quick flick through, but I'm not very good. But you'll see some films in there that you may recognise. Halloween, any more? Oh, Close Encounters is in there. There you go. Dog Day Afternoon, I think. Serpico. No, I don't recognise any others offhand. But Clockwork Orange is bound to be in there with all the others. But Cinema of the 70s, that's one to look forward to. And the latest issue of Yours Retro, which I love. Got articles on Cliff Richard movies. Let's see, UFO, the Jerry Anderson series that we were just talking about. Cheers, Blue Peter, Bob Hope, Liz Taylor. Always have a read of that on my break. Right, guys, I think that's it for this week. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Thanks ever so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that sort of thing. I'll be back again next week with more of the same, and I'll probably post a couple of bits to give you an idea of what I'm going to be talking about next week, so to give you an idea of basically what you can look forward to. So again, thanks ever so much for joining me. Have a brilliant week, folks, and I will talk to you all again very, very soon. Take care, all of you. Take care. Ta-ra.